See, the problem is Jumanji Jungle, Judge Jumanji Jungle Lips. The problem with it is this, because what's coming out of her lips is monkey sense.
This is Shane Vaughn, Pastor Shane Vaughn, if you're unfamiliar. He's a Trump pastor. I don't mean that he's a pastor that likes Donald Trump. I mean, he's a pastor of a Trump church, effectively. Now, I did this whole series about him last week. I'm not even going to bother going down this road, but I wanted to show you this clip specifically from him because this is the one that got him into some hot water, right? This is him calling Ketanji Brown Jackson, Supreme Court Justice, a monkey. One of the most racist things that I think I've heard in a while, and I've heard some doozies. It was so bad, I called him out. It was so bad that he apologized and named me and thanked me and said, I really appreciate you calling me out. You're right. I shouldn't have said that, so on and so forth.
You have every right to be offended. That was unacceptable. And I'm asking every one of you to forgive me if you can find it in your heart to do so.
Like, oh my God, dude, what does it take to get a Trump supporter or a Trump pastor, honestly, a Trump pastor, to apologize for something they said? I guess it takes calling black people monkeys, apparently. Like, Jesus, dude. But by the end of the apology, it was pretty clear that he didn't understand the problem in the first place. Listen to the very end of his apology here.
I still think she talks monkey talk. I still think that she's ignorant, dumb, and should not be wearing a robe and should be living in the jungle as Judge Jumanji, okay? But her physical appearance, off limits.
You didn't get anything, did you, Shane? Like, you're just lost, aren't you? You have no clue what's going on around you. Do you know what you were apologizing for? Apparently he doesn't, it seems to me. But you know what? Hey, okay. Maybe it was just like a slip of the tongue again. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt again. That benefit of the doubt did not last long because, like, the very next, in fact, it may have been on, same shirt. I think it was on the same stream or the same day or something. He had some things to say about Joy-Ann Reid. If you don't know Joy-Ann Reid, she's on MSNBC, I think. Anyway, listen to this. By the way, all these clips happened mid-April 2024.
Now, y'all got to watch this little, I got to watch my mouth here because when I can talk about anybody unless they black. Okay.
You can talk about anybody. No one is off limits. Criticize anybody you want. I criticize black people all the time. Check this out. I'll do it now. Watch. Hey, how about that? I already have it pulled up. Isn't that's super coincidental that I already had this guy pulled up. Okay, check this out. Jesse Lee Peterson talking about white supremacy.
I used to think that when they used that word, white supremacy, it was a negative word. But now I realize what they're thinking is that, and it's true, by the way, that white men are smarter than them, superior to them. And instead of learning, oh, hey, how did you become so superior? They want to destroy it so that they won't be reminded how dumb they are. And so they're dumbing everybody and everything down rather than coming up to the level of white supremacy.
This guy is dumb as, you know what? I'm not that guy. I'm not the dude that's always insulting people. I will let our old buddy Shane Vaughn do it for me.
I've lived for the Lord my whole life, and I was dumb as a box of rocks and didn't know it.
Or my friend Greg Locke.
I'm dumber than a box of rocks in a lot of areas. Facebook just makes people think I'm smart.
Quick interjection, don't skip forward, it'll just take a second, I promise. Watch the video to the end if you can, or at least a couple extra minutes. Every extra minute counts, because YouTube bases video reach off of watch time. Also, I'd appreciate it if you guys checked out my new book, Understanding Jehovah's Witnesses. It's a history of the religion mixed in with my own history of the religion. The last chapter of this book is this book, 100 Questions for Jehovah's Witnesses. It's not basic stuff either. I really get into the weeds, but they're both consumable for somebody who's never been a member of the religion. Link to both of them is in the description. You can check them out on Amazon, Kindle, anywhere books are sold, or you can go to owenmorganbooks.com to find out more. Oh yeah, and this book is basically copyright free. The only stipulation is you have to keep the copyright page in and you can't make money off of it. If you want to share it, if you want to show it on stream, if you want to add to it, you want to print 500 copies at cost, you can feel free to do that. You just can't sell it to other people. I thought it might be useful in unwitnessing campaigns, along with some stickers. I also sell signed copies on my Etsy shop, which again can be found on owenmorganbooks.com. You can also hear it on Audible if you want to hear the audiobook version instead. Okay, back to the video. The point is, I'm not afraid of criticizing black people, or white people, or Asian people, or whatever. You can criticize anybody you want. You can talk about anybody you want. That's not the problem, Shane. Do you understand what the problem even is? Apparently not. Certainly not based on the last thing that he said in his apology.
I still think she talks monkey talk. I still think that she's ignorant, dumb, and should not be wearing a robe and should be living in the jungle as...
He doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. It gets even worse with Joyanne Reed, if you can believe it. All right, listen. Keep listening to what he said here about her.
Well, I got to watch my mouth here because when I can talk about anybody unless they black. Okay. Y'all got to watch this. Don't call it no jungle bunny. Let's see.
It's so stupid, it's painful.
I've lived for the Lord my whole life, and I was dumb as a box of rocks and didn't know it.
For those of you who don't know or didn't hear, he used a slur. Now, I'm one of those people who feels that it's okay to use a slur in certain contexts, like explaining to people what the slur is. In fact, I think it's important to say it so that people are aware that it is a slur. He called her a jungle bunny. I don't remember the origins of that term, but it's a term that Archie Bunker used to use all the time in the 1980s. And it is one of the more racist. It's like one step below the N-word. It's bad. Same with the word jigaboo, which is a word that Donald Trump alludes to regarding the prosecutor in his case. She's black. I don't remember her name. Anyway, calls her Peekaboo James. It's very obvious what he's talking about. Letitia James, that's the name I was trying to think of. Now, those two terms, jigaboo and jungle bunny, will get in the, if you're using them in the wrong context and you're around the wrong people, you will get your ass kicked for saying that stuff, for real. And what did Shane Vaughn do? Literally, like immediately after apologizing for being racist, complained that he can't talk about black people, and then said this.
Y'all got to watch this. Don't call it no jungle bunny. Let's see. Y'all got to watch this. Let's go with the wig. How about that?
Dude, he learned nothing. He learned absolutely nothing. Let's go with the wig, he said. How about that?
Y'all watch this blonde wig head. Y'all got to watch this. Now,
why don't you just say this fool if you feel that way, or dummy, or watch this person or woman or what? Like, there's so many characteristics about this person that you could have picked. Blonde-headed wig makes absolutely no sense. And it's clear to me that all he wants to do is zero in on her race. That's like all he knows how to do. Seriously. Can you think of nothing other than people's race? Is that like all they are to you? You know, race is fake, right? There's one race, the human race. Back in the, I think 1800s maybe, there was a belief that there were three races. The Caucasoid, which is Caucasians, white people. Caucasoid, the Negroid, which is black people, and the, what was the other one? The Mongoloid, East Asian people, basically. And it was invalid then because it's just complete nonsense. What the hell is a race? Do you mean species? Well, we're all the same species. We can all interbreed and create fertile offspring. Race is fake. The only reason that race exists as a concept is to discriminate against people. That's it. There are people with more melanin in their skin and less melanin in their skin. There are people with dark hair and light hair, blue eyes and green eyes and brown eyes. There are people of all different types. Separating people by the amount of melanin in their skin is just as ridiculous as separating them by blue eyes and green eyes. Seriously, it's just as stupid. But for some reason, all this guy can focus on is her, melanin in her skin. The only reason it exists is to discriminate.
Let's see. Y'all got to watch this.
Let's go with the wig. How about that? Y'all watch this blonde wig head. Y'all got to watch this. Now, I can't talk about them like that because I get in trouble. Let me see. You can talk about anybody in the world. But anyway.
You can talk about anybody in the world, and I do. I talk about anybody, literally anybody. No one is off limits to criticism. But you know what I don't do? I don't call people jungle bunnies, for example. I don't do that. I don't refer to them as monkeys the way that he did Ketanji Brown Jackson in the beginning. Jesus Christ, dude. What is wrong with you? Shane, he called me out personally, said, I want to thank Owen Morgan for pointing out the problems and blah, blah, blah. Shane, if you're listening, bro, stop looking at race. Why are you doing this? Like, I have so many problems with this guy, not just with race, but with the LGBT community, with the trans community specifically, and with a whole bunch of other things. And the conspiracy theories that he has about Easter and QAnon and Trump and blah, blah, blah. I have so many problems with this guy. But why are you doing this? Why are you zeroing in on this race thing?
But anyway, they can talk about me all day long. They can call me. Look, they can still frame my face where, you can do anything you want to a white man.
He's acting like he's persecuted because he's a white man. I can do anything I want to anybody. I just choose not to be a scumbag. Look, here's the thing. I'm not offended by anything you say or do, Shane. It's literally impossible for Shane to offend me. I just recognize you as the scumbag that you are, is all. If you don't want to be viewed as a scumbag, don't do scumbag. See how it works? Quick interjection. I promise this won't take long. Don't skip forward. I just want to shout out my Patreon. If you guys like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, check out the Patreon. The link is in the description. Also, watch the video to the end if you can, or at least a couple extra minutes. Every extra minute counts because YouTube bases video reach off of watch time. All right, back to the video. Anyway, that thing he mentioned, the still frame like this, I don't do that, ever. In my opinion, that's kind of a propagandistic method of talking about somebody or framing up a discussion about somebody. I always try to find honest pictures of people, honest screen grabs of people. And I don't want to do this, what he's referring to here. See, here's, I'll just go through a few of the screen grabs I did for some recent thumbnails. Tony Morris, he's not going, it's not like some crazy face. Here's Shane Vaughn. But the thing is, when you're dealing with video, I always take screen grabs from videos, and anywhere in a video that you click, it's going to look really ridiculous. That's the nature of interlaced video because, it's creating the image and then keeping it in reserve behind it, and then it blends into the next image and puts the next one up, and then pulls up the next one, and it keeps doing that over and over to try to give it like a smoother image. And as a result, it just like literally anywhere you click, the person looks ridiculous. And that goes for me too. That's just the nature of still frames or video footage. Like, just look at this one, for example, right here. Hang on. This is Phil Arms talking about how evil dancing is all the way in 1989. I can click anywhere, and he has a ridiculous-looking face. See? Literally anywhere along the way, he has a stupid look on his face. That's just how film works. But I really try not to do that. It's about ideas, not people.
Anything you want to a white man. Anything you want to. But you can't say nothing.
Well, I guess he's just offended at the claim that he's not allowed to criticize people's looks. It's looks that he wants to criticize. In fact, it's not criticism. He wants to make fun of the way that people look. And one of the targets of his attacks is their skin color. What's wrong with you, Shane? Really? Do you not get it? Is it just like it not penetrating that thick skull or what?
I've lived for the Lord my whole life, and I was dumb as a box of rocks and didn't know it.
To be fair, that clip is out of context, but I feel it applies pretty well. Now, that's not actually the point of this video that I wanted to do. There's more about this video that I wanted to address. Anyway, here's the real point that I wanted to get to. Shane Vaughn addressed the fact that Donald Trump is facing down some criminal charges right now. He's got, 91 felonies or something like that. I don't remember who it is. Alvin Bragg, is he the one that's charging Trump with these felonies now? I think it is. I think it's Alvin Bragg. Anyway, the jury has been set in the case, and Shane Vaughn has an idea for how Trump can get out of this legal mess that he's found himself in with these 91 felonies. By the way, people say it's over hush money payments. That's not really what it's over. I feel like that downplays its importance. There are strict and stringent laws about campaign finance and how you spend your campaign money. You can't just go blow it on whatever you want. Madison Cawthorn, for example, was taking donations for his primary race and for his general race. And he took the money from his general race that he raised from the general and spent it on his primary race. He spent it on advertising for his primary and then lost. Well, guess what? If you lose your primary race, you have to refund everybody that donated to your general election fund. Campaign finance laws are very, very strict, and they are real in the United States. Donald Trump used campaign money that was donated to him for his campaign fund. He used that money to pay Stormy Daniels to keep quiet about the affair that he had with her. And he got around, the campaign finance rules by having Michael Cohen, his fixer, his second in command, his lawyer. He had him take out a mortgage on his house and pay Stormy Daniels with his own money. And then Trump gave him a raise, if you will, gave Cohen a raise, quote unquote, until all of that money was paid back to Cohen with some interest or whatever. So ultimately, Donald Trump used campaign funds. He committed fraud to use campaign funds in an illegal way. That's what this is really about. It's a fraud case. It's not a hush money case. But Shane Vaughn has some input on it. So let's hear what he has to say here.
You need one juror that does the right thing, and it shuts all the other jurors down, because in a criminal verdict, it has to be unanimous. So I tell you how I'm praying, saints. I'm praying whoever right now in jury selection, listen to me by the Spirit of God.
By the Spirit of God.
We need to be praying right now the will of God on earth as it is in heaven. By the way, if you've not heard my latest sermon on prayer, you need to go watch it at
no, thank you.
FHTV.tv. Anyway, we need to begin praying for that juror.
Yeah, because prayer, of course, solves all problems. Those kids that are literally starving to death in Africa right now, as we speak right now, there's a kid that has been kicked out of his village because he doesn't have, they don't have enough food to feed him. And he is sitting outside the door starving to death as you're watching this right now. And there are people praying for that kid, a lot of people. But he's still going to die. But you know what? You lose your car keys, say a prayer, and you'll find him, just like that. Donald Trump commits fraud, campaign finance fraud, gets caught and then charged with a crime. God will answer all these people's prayers by putting a juror on the jury who will commit jury nullification, is what it's called.
That juror. For that one person that y'all will touch their heart, because they can mess up the whole thing.
It sounded like he was saying y'all can touch his heart. No, he's saying Yah, like Yahweh can touch his heart.
One person. That's the power of the U.S. justice system. For a guilty verdict, it has to be everyone on that jury has to be in agreement. Your job, let's begin to pray. During jury selection this week and next week, we are the army of the Lord. You and I are the army of the Lord. And I am believing God. I'm not prophesying and I'm not predicting. But I am declaring by faith.
Well, what's the difference? Declaring by faith? How is that different from prophesying? I don't understand.
Not guilty. Or mistrial. I'll take either one.
If there was one person that held out on the jury, it would be a mistrial. It would not be an acquittal. I don't remember what an acquittal requires. For felony charges, as Trump is facing here, for felony charges, there must be 12 jurors and up to 6 alternates chosen. For misdemeanor charges, there must be only 6 jurors and up to 4 alternates chosen. A unanimous guilty verdict yields a conviction. All 12 people have to be in complete agreement that the person's guilty. And a unanimous not guilty verdict results in acquittal. Okay, so all 12 have to say no. Otherwise, it's a mistrial, it looks like. Unanimous not guilty means you're acquitted of the crime, even if you committed it, even if you walk out of the courthouse and you admit to it openly as you walk out the front door, yes, I murdered that person or whatever. The double jeopardy applies. You cannot be tried again, no matter what. It doesn't matter. That is if you're found not guilty. If you are found guilty, it must be all 12 jurors. They all have to agree. Complete unanimity. If it's not unanimous one way or another, then it's a mistrial, which means the prosecutor has the option of charging the person again and getting a new jury and going through the entire process all over again. So mistrial is not really ideal for Donald Trump, although it would be a delay tactic, I suppose. I mean, apparently, like, everybody's talking about the trial right now. Donald Trump facing down, 91 felonies or whatever it is. And apparently, from what I heard, Donald Trump was making weird faces and gestures at one of the jurors. Yeah, okay, NBC News. Judge in hush money trial. It should really be fraud trial, not hush money trial. Admonishes Trump after his behavior. The first 7 jurors were selected for Trump's hush money trial Tuesday amid a battle over prospective jurors' old Facebook posts and calls to lock him up, and the judge's warning that the former president should not try to intimidate the panelists who will be deciding his fate. Tried to intimidate the panelists. I will not have any jurors intimidated in this courtroom. I want to make this crystal clear. Juan Merchan told Trump and his lawyer Todd Blanche outside the juror's presence. Merchan told Blanche his client was audibly saying something in the direction of the juror while she was 12 feet away from your client. Trump was talking to the jury. What the hell is happening right now? Anyway, Don Jr. is, of course, talking about it. He's got his own ideas.
You'll never know. If it was someone who even remotely conservative, I'm sure they would have thrown him off. The Democrats, they're evil and they're smart. They'll show up there in a MAGA hat and pretend.
Yeah, if somebody is even mildly conservative, they should throw them off of the jury. And if they're mildly to the left, they should throw them off the jury. They should be allowed to, at the very least. You need somebody who is capable of being impartial. It doesn't matter if they're conservative or liberal or whatever. It's irrelevant. What matters is, are you capable of being impartial? Are you capable of judging the facts as they're presented to you? And are you ready for the onslaught that's coming? Because Donald Trump is absolutely going to find the names of those jurors, leak them, and threaten them. And hell, maybe even kill them. I don't know, or have them killed. Like, point people in their direction and say, this person, blah, 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 he's not thinking straight and something needs to happen to him or whatever. And suddenly, just like that, juror is gone. I mean, we've seen this kind of thing before with Trump. Ruby Freeman is one example, and her daughter, I think. They were election workers. One passed a ginger mint to the other, and Donald Trump demonized them for months. They got bomb threats. The FBI told them they're not safe where they are right now. They need to move. I mean, it's insane. So the jurors need to be prepared for that, unfortunately. I don't care if someone's liberal or conservative. They need to be able to put their biases aside for this case. That's it.
You'll never know. If it was someone who even remotely conservative, I'm sure they would have thrown him off. The Democrats, they're evil and they're smart. They'll show up there in a MAGA hat and pretend they're conservative and unbiased, and then...
Well, I mean, in a MAGA hat. Why does he say MAGA? In a MAGA hat and pretend they're unbiased. This is a process called voir dire. You can strike any jurors that you want, basically. I think each side can, ask any questions of any jurors, and they can strike up to 10. They can say, we don't want him. And you don't need a reason. You just say, no, I don't want him. I don't want that person in the pool. And that ostensibly is supposed to give you the best chance of ending up with like an impartial jury, as impartial as you can get. And I think if there's a legitimate issue that you raise, why you think that this person couldn't be impartial, you can strike more than just 10, if I'm remembering correctly.
They'll go in there and they'll do the bidding of the fascists, the Democrat Party.
So I guess people with MAGA hats are going to pretend to be Trump supporters when they're really on the left and biased against Trump. And they're going to do, what was it?
The bidding of the fascists,
do the bidding of the fascists, the Democrats. Right. Totally. Absolutely. That checks out. Get help, Don. Get help, Shane. Literally calling for jury nullification. I mentioned that term earlier, but didn't explain it in full. If you're unfamiliar, there's a CGP Grey video on jury nullification. I believe saying the words jury nullification while you're in a jury pool or being, vetted voir dire, or you're sitting on the jury or whatever, I believe saying jury nullification can get you put in jail. But the idea is, they're guilty, but you're going to vote not guilty anyway to help them. It was a big problem in the South in the between the 18 and the 1900s. A member of the KKK is put on trial for lynching a black person, and the jurors commit, I don't know what else you'd call it, commit jury nullification because they like him. They like what he did. They think it was the right thing, lynching a black person or burning a cross on somebody's lawn. That's what this whole thing is about. They're calling for jury nullification. These two guys are. Absolutely insane, man. I feel for those jurors. I hope they come out of it alive and safe and okay. Honestly, no matter what. Disturbing as it gets, man. Tell me what you think about it in the comments.